Hi there, I'm John of John's Carnivorous Plants. This is my indoor nursery, and today we're talking about, are Helianthera hard to grow? Now, this is a question I get very frequently on the Discord in one way or another, where people are asking, oh, I could take care of X, Y, and Z. I'm not sure if I could take care of a Helianthera. So I'll be completely honest with you. If you're able to provide high humidity, and if you're only growing one, I would suggest using a cloche, which is a glass enclosure that can fit the Helianthera underneath it. Some species can get kind of, our hybrids can get kind of large for most of the small cloches you'll see. But I have ones that are like my cherry top, which has Helianthera minor in it as one of its parents. Stays very small, perfect for a cloche. If you have the ability to keep humidity high, or like you're in a grow tent that like you already have a bunch of highland nepenthes, or even like intermediate ones that you're growing quite successfully, there are intermediate and lowland Helianthera. It's not something that is very well known or defined, as you'll see with nepenthes. A bunch of the people who cultivate nepenthes have split out based off of the elevation of like which ones are good to grow in lowland, which ones are growing in the highland, which ones are the intermediate zone, and what their different requirements are. For Helianthera, they're typically just looked at as highland plants, even though, so quick like recap of where they grow. They grow up on what are called tepuis, which are tabletop mountains down in South America. Over time, the tepuis are weathering on their edges and eventually crumble down to the ground below. There are populations of Helianthera who've survived that crumbling effect, where the side of the mountain has just crumbled underneath them and they fell down to the lowland, and they're still living. Those species are particularly like minor, heterodoxa, and there's a few others. I don't remember them all offhand, but they do exist, and they are really ideal for growers to grow in most of their setups. The biggest thing though to remember is that Helianthera have this design with their pitcher that has like a small slit in the front or a small hole, depending on the species, to let rainwater flush through, because they're used to seeing immense amount of rainfall. So kind of give you an idea, they're very close to the Amazon rainforest, and some of the tepuis are in the rainforest. So with that in mind, or I should say like in the rain, near the rainforest, because they're elevated. So it's like they're receiving very similar amounts of rainfall to the Amazon rainforest itself. So just keep that in mind, that like these plants are used to seeing a lot of rainfall, and they're adapted for it. So one of the things that you usually see on Helianthera care is people will be like, oh, they need to have these cool nights and high humidity, etc. Honestly, they need to have that cycle of water coming into their pitcher and flushing out. So I'll go through whenever I water mine and make sure I water all of the pitchers at least once every week or two. And that keeps them nice, happy, healthy, and flushes out their digestive enzymes and whatnot. I have noticed that over time, if you don't do that, some of the Helianthera species or hybrids will like actually have a definable line where their digestive acids start like munching through the pitcher, just because they are used to constantly replenishing their enzymes to be able to eat the bugs. They don't necessarily just they're not used to having it just sit there and concentrate over time, so it can lead to some burning. If you also flush out new ones that you've just gotten, it helps them acclimate a lot better than if you just leave them to their own devices. I have also noticed that, and you experience a lot less pitcher loss. But do note that they don't like sitting in water for long periods of time. For mine, like I have so many in trays that I water them, and like the tray gets like, a quarter to half inch of water, but that evaporates off rather quickly, usually over the course of about 2 days for me. So I don't recommend tray watering them. I would recommend having them up off the tray a little bit. I used to have like little spacers I would use, and this is actually what worked the best for me. And the so the water could still like stay there, provide humidity, and the plant's still nice and happy and not being like overly sopping wet. But if you're looking to get into Helianthera, I would highly suggest starting with one of the hybrids, because they tend to have a lot more vigor and they're a lot more, adaptable. One of the biggest things that I see new Helianthera growers do whenever they get a Heliamphora is try to immediately repot it, which I do not recommend. You should definitely quarantine your plant and then get it adjusted to your conditions first before you put in additional stress of like, oh, now your roots have to regrow and reestablish to this new watering regimen and the new medium that you've put them in. So I hope this has been slightly informative. Helianthera can be very easy to grow. Mine are some of my lower maintenance plants, and I enjoy them because it's like all I got to do is just come water them a couple times, feed them a couple times a month, and bang, they're just happy. They grow beautifully, and they're really a stunning plant. I highly suggest anyone who isn't growing one to try one out just because they're fun and really pretty to look at. Now, that's all I pretty much have to say on this subject. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below. Sometimes I'm offering Helianthera on my store. I sell the cherry tops that I was talking about that stay nice, small, very manageable. Usually about 40 bucks for them, and they come with a mature pitcher so you don't have to wait a year and a half for the actual plant to grow the trademark Helianthera pitcher. Because the baby ones and the smalls tend to look a lot more like Sarracenia, and they take a long time to grow. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one.